Guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the NDD Games YouTube channel. Today we're just going to discuss some options for budget decks for tournament play and for the meta. I think the game is fairly expensive at the moment. There are cards like Triple Tactics Talents and Forbidden Droplets that are pretty expensive right now. But there are some deck cores that you can pick up and some cheap staples you can also pick up to compete at a high level and even compete at regionals, locals. So yeah, we're going to get straight into it. So if you guys are new to the channel, certainly check me out on Twitch. I do regular content and streams over there, as well as my Instagram and Twitch, and Twitter, as well. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. So the first deck I want to go through is True Draco. So this is a deck that you can play quite a few ways. I'm not going to get onto it because I've got a whole other video planned for True Draco. But this is like a deck that you can play without an extra deck because of Monarch's Erupt. So obviously the extra deck usually costs you between £100 and £150 on its own. So you can save a bit of money and play a pretty busted card in Monarch's Erupt, which is at 3 now. Basically what it does is if you have no cards in your extra deck and you control a tribute summoned monster, which all the True Dracos do, they tribute summon themselves, it negates all other effects. Negates all the face-up monsters' effects on the field while you have those two conditions. So if your opponent tribute summons a monster, they can use the effects. And then during the end phase, if you control no tribute summon monster, send his cards to the graveyard. So it can be quite a good floodgate. It's something that was seen a lot of play back in the day. Obviously, it used to be limited to 1, but it's at 3 now. So you could take advantage of that. True Draco is not a bad deck. I'm not going to explain too much. Obviously I've got droplets in here, but you could play Chalice and even Impermanences as well. So other than that, it is pretty budget. Over evenly match, you could play Cosmic Cyclones or Regeki, Harpy's Feather Duster. So there's ways to play budget. I think this is a good option though. But I'm going to get onto a whole different layer of this deck in a future video, so keep an eye out for that. Next is actually fairly cheap. There obviously are some expensive cards in this, like Forbidden Droplets, but you can just take those out for Chalices and other budget options. But the deck itself is all common. It's all common Lyrilusk cards. You could play it pure, and play like Mystic Mine, and play pure Lyrilusk. But this deck itself is fairly cheap for what it is. Obviously, we've got other cards in here, the extra deck, like the Draco Future. I think that's probably it. Maybe this is like £10 right now as well. The Robin, but I know Draco Future's going up and down. But you don't have to play it. Like it does give you another negate. But if you wanted to play this deck in a pure way, all the cards are common. Vehicles are like fairly cheap for what they are as well. So yeah, the deck isn't actually too expensive for like being the best deck in the format, in my opinion. It's fairly affordable. Obviously, we've got Lightning Storm in here, but you can change those up for different spell trap card outs. Next is PK. So PK is actually pretty cheap. Obviously, the DPE package is about £100 or so. But you can certainly play without it. It just gives you, I think the reason why it's good right now is because of DPE. But you can play pure Phantom Knights. Torn Scales just got a reprint in the Megatins. The Phantom Knight cards, all commons. Just try to have a little glance through. And like I said previously, you can play Chalice. But other than that, a lot of these cards are budget. Nibiru's got a reprint. Draw might be obviously like fairly expensive cards, but you can play other hand traps like Effect Veiler, etc. So yeah, this deck actually isn't too expensive for what it is. Next deck is Virtual World. So Virtual World is another pretty budget-friendly deck. It just got all the cards got reprinted recently in the Megatins, and they were cheap, to be fair, going back in Phantom Rage. But yeah, you play quite a few hand traps. Gamma's got a reprint. Ash is always going to be not really accessible, but it's always going to have a price tag. But like I said, you can play Effect Failures and stuff instead. Same with the Permanents. But I'm just trying to glance through here. I don't think anything else is really too expensive other than the cards we've already mentioned. But the side deck, also the extra deck, you can just play. You don't have to play Dragoon. You can play like Kaliga. Zeus got a reprint, so in my opinion, the deck is actually super cheap and quite a good deck. I've seen a couple of people play the Sword version. I think that deck's pretty good, but Pure is still absolutely fine. Shen Chen's just got a reprint as a super rare, so yeah, pretty good budget deck in my opinion. Next is Elvic. So obviously we got here Lords of the Heavenly Prison. Again, I'm probably not choosing the best examples here, but it's just a template for you guys to look at and be like, oh, this deck's affordable. Maybe I can swap out for some of these expensive cards for some budget options and still compete at regional or local level. You don't have to play this card, Lord of the Heavenly Prison. He certainly is not mandatory. You can just play extra consistency cards, or maybe the Dear Servant. I'd probably say they're the same price, to be honest, at the moment. But yeah, you can certainly take this card out for more Dogmatica stuff, or even just more trap cards in general. Extravagance got a reprint. Duality's always going to have a cheap price tag because it's printed at Commons. So the whole Eldritch deck just got reprinted in Eldorado, and everything else is pretty cheap from what I can see. I know Skill Drain went up recently to about £20, but it's a one of. If you have it, great, play it. If you don't, there are other options, other floodgates you can play. Goes and Match is a good option. I don't think it's here in this deck at the moment, no, but you can play Goes and Match. You could even play. You could even play They Can Be, but you gotta know how to play through it and around it. So that's an option. And yeah, the extra deck is literally not needed whatsoever. You can tech in like Zeus and stuff if you have them. Other than that, though, the deck is really cheap. Everything's got reprinted, so it's a decent budget option. It can certainly steal games. And then last deck we want to cover is Altergeist. So this deck also just got a reprint in Eldorado. I think it's a bit of a meme for like UK players. When you go to an event, you'll always see or play Altergeist. But yeah, this deck is actually not too bad. If you play it properly and you understand how to use the interactions for good trades, this deck can actually compete at like a fairly high standard. So yeah, definitely a deck that is affordable. Like I said, everything's got reprinted. Just glancing through here, obviously you can swap out these in the side, as well as the draws for other hand traps. Access code, you don't need it at all. You can probably play without it for sure. It does get Pukari and Link 4 in the new Brothers of Legend set. I wouldn't say you 100% need them, but they do help in my opinion. Good options to have. So yeah, that's my budget decks for the December format. If you guys have any other suggestions, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care.